1 week from tonight, October 24th, 2020, Impact Wrestling brings to you its biggest pay-per-view of the year, Bound for Glory. And today, on the Wrestling with ADHD podcast, right here on Headlocks and Hauntings YouTube channel, we interview longtime superstar of Impact Wrestling, that is Supermex, Sean Hernandez. We hope you guys enjoy. Take a listen. I only see my background.
I see you, bro.
Okay, now I see you. Okay, now I feel better.
There we go.
All right. So here we are. Welcome to the Wrestling with ADHD podcast. I'm your host, Shooter Storm, and my guest today is Impact star. He is Supermex Hernandez. What's going on, Sean? How are you today, man?
Good, brother. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm good. I'm going to give a quick background here for the last week. Hernandez and I have been like a long-distance dating couple. We have talked on this thing 3 days this week and tried to record every time. Third time's a charm, they say, right? It's third time. Let's make this the third time because, like, we talked about the same stuff, right? So now it's like we should have it down to a science.
Yep.
All right. Anyways, all right. So I want to start out with how you broke in the business, Sean. Let us know where you started, what got you interested in wrestling, what made you decide to join this lovely business that we're in.
If I knew how lovely this business was, I never got into it to begin with. I started late 96, early 97 with Tugboat Taylor and his son, Chaz Taylor, from the old global ESPN days. I was working out at the gym, and WWF came into town and said, "Hey, man, you look a big guy. You should try to join a wrestling school." And luck would have it, 2 weeks later, I found a school because this was before social media and internet. So you actually had to go through the phone book and word of mouth. And I joined 2 weeks later with Tugboat, and it worked out.
Very cool. All right. That's for people that don't know, that some of you may not have even been born yet, but he got to break in during a great time. Hernandez broke in during what they call the Attitude Era. So there was WCW, there was WWF, there was ECW, Global, like you talked about, which I would watch after coming home from school. I don't remember what day, but it was 3:00 on ESPN. And I was just happy to have wrestling on before I had to go to bed. So it was a show I didn't have to tape. So yeah, the Attitude Era, it was the time where there was a national stage everywhere to work.
Yeah.
And that's a great time to break in. Like Hernandez knows, I broke in 2001, by far the worst time ever to break into wrestling, especially a small guy, because, well, it was only WWF left at that point when it comes to the big stage. So, it was tough, but we got 96, 97 for you. Where did you start working? Obviously Global. And then what else did you do around the same time?
Well, I was in Texas. Texas my whole career, and then it was really weird. I went from Texas Indies, and then went to Japan, and then I came back from Japan. I started doing WB tryouts and dark matches, and Sunday Night Heat matches, and then I started going to Mexico and stuff like that. So right around 99, 2000, I started blowing up. It's where people started to know who I was.
Excellent. All right, and who was the guy? Like, if you were to name one guy, I think I know the answer. But if you were to name one guy that you really looked up to in the wrestling business and you want to be a lot like, who was that?
Oh yeah, well, we talked about this before. I watched ECW November to Remember. I think it was maybe 96 or 95, 96. Seeing Masato Tanaka wrestle Mike Awesome. I watched wrestling as a child, growing up. But my parents were very strict. Hey, you got to get an education, So I played college football, played 2 years in arena football, still doing powerlifting and stuff. And I, like everyone else, you grow up. I was married, had a kid. You shy away from wrestling because life happens. You have to do fatherly and husband responsibilities, And then, when they had those little cable boxes in the 90s where where you get the legal codes and get the pay for free and stuff like that, and porno channels for free and some of that. I watched ECW November to Remember, and I saw Mike Awesome wrestle Masato Tanaka, and I go, I want to be that guy.
Masato Tanaka?
No. Masato Tanaka's amazing. I mean, he's all cut up and lean now. If you saw me,
he's good.
But I'm talking about just Mike Awesome. I mean, just the way, a little bit I know nothing about wrestling at the time, but the way ECW presented him and the way the crowd received him, he was like a rock star.
Yeah,
I mean, he had the mullet. He was 6'5", 300 pounds, jacked, doing dives, throwing people through tables, power bombing people. I go, you know what? I want to be that guy. And we talked to this before. I patterned myself completely after Mike Awesome from 99 until like 2004.
Okay, and let me ask you, how did that go for you? I mean, I like to meet your heroes and then find out certain things. So, did you guys ever cross paths?
Unfortunately, we did. We wrestled. Mike Awesome was huge in Japan, and I was on a tour. I was wrestling in Japan, All Japan as well, and they liked our styles because they were the exact same. The Japan fans and the Japanese promote, all Japan's, all the bookers liked that because we did the exact same stuff. Okay, so here it is. I go, cool. Just like how some kids like Hulk Hogan, some kids like Shawn Michaels or Bret Hart, they want to beat him. I was very fortunate. I wanted to be Mike Awesome, and guess what? I got to meet Mike Awesome. I got as an adult, and I got to wrestle with Mike Awesome. Mike Awesome, we got along great out of the ring. In the ring, he hated me. He hated being around me because, here's this guy who established himself in Japan, busted his butt to get there, making no money in the States, and then going to Japan making money. And here's this kid doing the exact same shit he does.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm wondering why my hero don't like me. I go, man, hey, man, let's go get some beers. Beers, I got you. Now I'm good. Hey, man, are we playing Pinochle in the room night? No, I'm tired. Finally, at the fourth or fifth day, it finally dawned on me. One of the guys told me, the other guys told me, hey, Mike likes you, but he hates you wrestling with you because you do the exact same stuff he does.
Yeah. So for people that don't understand that situation, if you're not ever been in or around the wrestling business, obviously Mike Awesome was older than Hernandez here, and Hernandez was young, good-looking, jacked-up guy that did all the same stuff that Mike Awesome did, which in turn is going to piss off Mike Awesome because, again, he's younger, good-looking, jacked-up guy that's doing everything the same. So his spot was tampered with. And Hernandez was kind of, without doing it intentionally, he was.
I had no clue. I was greener than green going there. I asked the promoters and I asked the bookers, hey, what do you want me to do? Oh, just do all your stuff. Just do all your stuff. Really? Okay.
So yeah,
with no rhyme or reason, and I was doing all my stuff, and then like I tell now when I'm training people, I go, I will help you 1,000%. Each and every one of my students. The day that you try to do the Super Makes gimmick, I'm not going to help you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly where I got it from 2003 and 4.
See, that's funny because like you and I, before you even told me this story originally when we talked, I told you how I think I actually brought up Mike Awesome and how great he was and how you resembled a lot of the stuff you did for your size. Yeah. And then you went in and told me this story. And that's pretty amazing. The fact that, this is a guy you looked up. So inside you're a kid in a candy store.
Oh, yeah.
And he's the Grinch and he's pissed off because you're, doing what you're doing. But you said to me that you guys eventually kind of decided to get along fine. He realized, and you realized, and you started doing different stuff a little bit, and doing your own stuff and showing everybody what Supermax was and not what Mike Awesome Jr. was, right? So, okay, so that to me is a good story, and I'll listen to that because that entertains me.
It's dark, dude. It's such a
like you and I talked about, I'll never have that issue. Who's going to yell at me? You know what I mean? Max Mini, that I'm doing the same stuff, so I don't have that much of an issue. So, all right. So this is around, you said 03, 04, you're in Japan. And then somewhere around that area, you must have finally got your first call with TNA somewhere in there. And let me know how that went. You've worked under every regime that Impact has had. You've worked on every channel that Impact's been on. Mm-hmm. And who originally got a hold of you to start coming in to TNA and doing some stuff with them?
Great. It was Bill Behrens. He's based out of Georgia. It was real, like we talked about before, I was wrestling in Japan. I was wrestling in Mexico and different places. I'm making really good money. I'm not trying to brag. I'm a big greenhorn. I'm making $2,000 a week in all Japan.
Wow.
I come back to the States. I'm lucky to get $100.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So every promoter and every guy who runs a seminar will tell you the same thing. If they don't want to tell you the truth, passive aggressive, keep doing what you're doing, kid. You'll get there. That's their way of saying, just get out of my face. I'm tired of hearing you. Yeah. So every promoter or seminar guy gives you that speech with no other feedback. This is a BS thing. Bill Behrens is a shorter guy, small in stature, and I'm 260, 270 now. I was like 310. It's like, here he is, I would say about 5'8", about 150 pounds, and looked me straight in my eye and said, "Hey, unless you learn to do this, this, and this, you're never gonna make no money in the States, ever." So I went to wrestle for him every other weekend from Houston, Texas to Cornelia, Georgia. My biggest payday was $30.
Wow, that's a bit. What a shock, a culture shock, a financial shock. You're going from Japan in front of these big crowds. You go and work for Behrens, who I've actually been in that same building.
So you know how many people he draws?
Yeah. It's for people that don't know and have never seen like NWA Wildside and things like that. The Behrens would draw probably 75 to 100, but that was a packed building there, right? It looked like a packed building. You could have the biggest name in the world, but that's all you're going to get in there. It looked like the old NWA TV studios that did back in the 80s and kind of like NWA is doing nowadays. Well, had the flags all over the building. It was a wicked cool setup. But yeah, what an incredible shock. You go from making $2,000 a night to making $30. And that was when you were the main event.
Right? Only when you're the main event. Yeah. Only. I remember many nights driving from Houston, Texas to Cornelia, Georgia, and you get your envelope, and it's like $10, $15, $20. I mean, because you had to work your way up the card because, that's the house that that AJ Styles came from Ron Killings came out of that building. So those guys, if they can bite the bullet and take the pay cut, so can you.
Exactly.
And
So he offered a shot with TNA.
I never forget one time where because if you're only getting like 10, 20, $30, you're gonna go in a big van.
Oh yeah.
I remember this tag team because they got booked and they got the envelope and they had to split $5.
Wow. Oh my.
Split $5.
Wow. That's and was this the other main eventer you were with, or was it just
No. This was some
this is
guy.
yeah.
This other kind of guy. But can you imagine? You're a young kid. You're a young kid. Because this like I was going to grad school in Japan, different things like that, and going to doing my dark matches in WWE. So these kids, this is their WWE.
Of course.
They're driving 12 hours, taking turns. Every 3-4 hours we switch drivers, and oh wow, made $2.50.
Wow. Well, but obviously that showed that you had the love and the passion for pro wrestling. Obviously, the wife at the time was not a big fan of you bringing home $2.50, and you might not have brought that home. That had to go for something to eat or gas or something. Right.
Yeah.
So stuff coming out of pocket. It's not something that a relationship would do very well with at that point. You know what I mean? It's how it was, and it's crazy. So again, it was a big culture shock and a big financial shock for you. Now, Bill Barons obviously had a lot to do with TNA, bringing guys in. I remember he was the guy. I mean, years ago when I was on shows and we brought in like Petey Williams, he was through Bill Barons as well. So you know what I mean? He might have only paid you $30, but he was making you guys decent money on the indie scene.
Brother, I will never complain about getting paid $30 because I got paid at tenfold just for his recommendations getting me into TNA. So Bill is the man. Bill's the man. I mean, I'm sure if he could have paid you more, he could have paid you more, but he's going straight off the house.
Right. So, yeah, of course. And you do the math out there, and he's not screwing you. He's just going by what it is and what it was. Now, so he gets a hold of you, and he says that they want you for TNA. Did you know what TNA was? Did you know what was happening? No.
Everyone's dream is go WWE and different things like that. That's not mine. Mine was I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to see and wrestle everywhere. So at the time, I was wrestling in Mexico. Had mask on, Mr. Texas, little speedos, 300 pounds. And Bill emailed me, TNA wants to sign you to do a little angle against 3 Live Crew. And I said, what is TNA? It's on weekly pay-per-view, like every Tuesday and Wednesday, or every Wednesday and third, one of them. And I'm good with that because I need to be free Friday through Monday, wrestling on the Indies, wrestling in Mexico. So Tuesday and Wednesday, yep, I'll do it.
Perfect. Yeah. And you got to go right in with 3 Live Crew. And for, again, people that don't know who that was the New Age Outlaws and Ron Killing, our troop nowadays. So you might not know what TNA is, but you sure as hell know who the New Age Outlaws are. So you know you're doing something that's going to possibly put you to that next level.
Oh, yeah.
Am I correct?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're with all the guys from WCW. I mean, it was myself, Chad Collier, and this Jack Black guy named Onyx, and going against every week Road Dogg, Conan, and Mark Killings. But you have Jeff Jarrett there. You had Jeff Jarrett's dad at gorilla position. It's like a who's list from WCW there trying to make TNA grow.
Absolutely.
We learned a lot of stuff. I mean, I learned a lot. I mean, I'm wrestling guys who are on WCW developmental on dark matches that I had no clue were making hundreds of thousands of dollars as a dark match guy. And back then he did a dark match for TNA. It was for this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
that was my next question, because we didn't discuss this. I don't like talking about people's money, what they're making, but I was curious on how it was looking with TNA at the time. What were they paying guys?
if you did a dark match for TNA back then, you did it for free. You did it for exposure. Because remember, it was only WWE and TNA, midweek pay-per-views.
Right.
That's the only rest, because WCW shut down, ECW shut down. So unless, and at the time, I'm not trying to be rude, I love Mexico. Mexico's one of my second homes. Mexico's pretty rough for foreigners to be going over there to going across the border, making wrestling and coming back. Just the cartels got a little more dangerous. So the only game in town, you saw the pay-per-views back then, the Tuesdays and Wednesdays, the TNA pay-per-views, the weekly pay-per-views. You see Sting, Raven, Macho Man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Scott Hall, Ken Shamrock. You guys, it was a who's who. I remember seeing Chris Harris and James Storm started at that point, and I had, I was a 16, 17-year-old kid watching WCW, but I paid close attention to who the guys that I didn't know. And I remember seeing Chris Harris at the end of WCW doing a lot of security spots and taking these big moves. And then I see these guys on TNA, and I'm like, wow, this company's awesome. For a guy that was, somebody who was such a big fan of just wrestling in general, to me, it was like watching WCW. The set, everything was pretty close to a WCW look, just different colors. But I would, a guy that I trained under originally, and then a guy that's my best friend to this day, Misery the Barbarian. He used to come to my apartment every Wednesday, and we'd order the pay-per-view and watch it every week. It was like $9 a week. So hell, that was worth it. We look forward to that, because it was an alternative to what we were watching on Mondays and on Fridays or Thursdays for SmackDown. So I loved NWA, TNA. I remember just being under the NWA banner was a big deal at the time as well, because it was, that was the belt that was held by Ric Flair, Harley Race, all the guys that I watched as a really young kid, So, all right, so we're there in TNA. How long did that first bout with TNA go?
Not very long, because like we talked before, when you're in a tag group, that's two personalities that have to get along in the ring, out of the ring, in business. Now, we were a 3-man team.
Yeah. Oh.
So,
yeah.
All three, Honest lived in Georgia. Chad Corey lived in the Midwest. I lived in Texas. So the chance of us all being on the same page every week is this. And I'll never forget, Chad Corey messaged me and said, hey, I got this deal to go to Michigan Pro for about 6 to 8 weeks. So I'm going to have to miss the pay-per-views. So I showed up. Like you're supposed to, under the contract, you show up, and they did something quick with us and got rid of us, and you never heard of us again until 2006 when I went back with LAX.
Now, and this time you said you were also working WWF dark matches, WWE dark matches, and did you get feedback there? Any good feedback? Are they looking to bring you there? What was going on?
I really think I didn't appreciate it. Maybe because I didn't have a lot of good mentors at the time. I did later in my career, but in the beginning. So when I was going there, my first match was like a Sunday Night Heat right before Raw. I got to wrestle Crash Holly, which was awesome.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than wrestling in Houston, Texas. That's where I was from. And that was the last match before Raw started live. And getting good feedback, Michael Hayes, Doc Hendricks at the time was his name. Giving good feedback. Hey, man, he did good. It's good. And then I didn't realize, because you have no mentors at the time, the backstage politics, the backstage etiquette, the backstage everything. You know,
Uh-huh.
I didn't tell you this story yet.
Oh boy, here we go.
I wrestled a dark match in San Antonio, Texas. Myself versus Joey Abs.
Oh
My
god.
my agent at the time was Tony Gurria.
Okay.
And we're in San Antonio. I'm a big Jack Mexican, bro. I mean, if you never saw, and I'm in San Antonio, the last match before Raw, so that everyone's in the crowd is super hyped. So they go, hey, Hernandez, can you do that? You still do that dive over the top? I go, yeah. So I did it. So they had me. So Tony Gurria okayed me to do the dive.
Oh.
Dark match before Raw. I do the dive. There's 20,000 Mexicans going fucking ape shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, this is a matter of time. I'm gonna be in developmental in no time. I go to the back. It was like a funeral.
Oh god, crickets.
No one gave me feedback. Everyone just looked down, looked away, would not make eye contact. You know, so you gotta remember this is 2000, I think 2 or 3. I forgot. But anyway, WWE's only game in town. Why would this green nobody, have the audacity to do the Undertaker's move?
Oh god, yep.
Before Raw starts, and it wasn't me, bro. If you told me to jump off the rafters from the nosebleeds to get I was gonna do it.
Right.
So I got set. I don't know if I wouldn't say it was a setup, but I remember that was very, very. It was like a funeral in the back. Nobody would even speak to me.
Oh god.
Until like the second or third match of Raw, no one would speak to me. It was rough.
Wow. All right. So, did Vince give you feedback at that point, or was his the funeral look too?
No, that's brother. When you're a dark match guy, I don't know how it is now. This was 17, 18 years ago. You were lucky to shake hands with Shane McMahon.
Right. I get you.
Vince is the only game in town. So I mean, I'm sure he's got more pressing things to do than watch a dark match guy right before Raw starts live. So
right. Yeah, that's as soon as before you said the story, I had a feeling where we were going with it because I know how it gets. I've listened to other guys discuss it. Some guys have told me. I knew Hurricane one time. He would do the choke slam. He did the choke slam, and Michaels came in the back, and Michaels like completely ripped him apart because it was Michaels and Kane in the main event, and Kane does the choke slam, and it was something that they told Helms to do. It wasn't like Helms said, "Oh, I'm going to do this." It was a joke finisher. It was like a gimmick, and Michaels was really pissed about that, and it really caused heat between those two guys for a long time. And again, that's another story of meeting your hero and then having that be the way it turned out. And I can picture you doing the move, and I feel like it should have fallen back on Tony Gurria a little bit. I mean, he's the one that gave you, but you probably kept your mouth shut and just ate the shit for it.
You ain't gonna say nothing. I mean, well, it's but anybody who's it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize when you're doing a big tope dive over the top, it takes you, the guy catching you, and the ref. So there's a minimum 3 people in on it the whole time.
Right. Yeah. And 2 of those guys are signed. Yeah.
Yeah, and not to mention, every big move besides a punch and a kick you do is okayed or not okayed by the agent. At least back then. I don't know now because I haven't been there in 16, 17, 18 years.
Right.
But every big move, anything over punch and kick and so like this was okayed or not okayed. Yeah, so for me to take all that heat, I was a little hot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And of course, you're a hothead as it is. As I know this personally. Well, let's put it this way. I've known you for about 10 years, right? And you and I have always gotten along real good. We hung out with some of the same people down in Orlando, and I'm sure you know exactly who I'm talking about in that regards. And but you've always been, like I talked to you previously about, you've always been really cool with me. And there's a lot of guys out there that, I mean, for the most part, everybody's been good to me, but that's because I was never after anybody's spot or anything. Like, I'm a small guy. No, I'm not going after Randy Orton's position. I'm not going after your position. You know what I mean? But you've always been a really good, cool guy, and like go out of your way to even talk to some of the fans that were at the shows. And you were just a good guy, and you gave me a reason why. And why don't you share that with the people watching too? Why has it been where you've always been? You could be a hothead when it came to business if somebody's fucking you, but when it comes to just people in general, other workers or fans or whatever, you're just really a nice guy. So explain to me why you went that path and how you learned that, you know?
Well, it's real simple. My father was a Green Beret for 30 years. So back then you could beat kids. And I got beat until I was 18. I got a scholarship for football. But I mean, this boils down to respect. If you respect me, I'm going to respect you. If you don't respect me, cool. I'm not going to get mad, but I'm not going to respect you. You know, we all want to make it to the highest levels we can in whatever job field we picked, whether it's wrestling, whether it's computers, whether it's education, whether it's politics. But guess what? No matter what, there's always the star and the pinnacle. There's always a baby star coming here. And sooner or later, your star goes down and this guy's star comes up. Now, if you were rude and disrespectful and demeaning to this guy as he was coming up, and your star, because father, like we talked about this before, father time always wins. You know what I'm saying? I wish that I could be 25 again, but it's never gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So the star goes like this, and your star starts fading, and y'all meet again. Now this guy's gonna start having more power in the same profession. You demean and disrespect this guy his whole career coming up. What's the chances of this happening and he help you to come back up?
Right. And not at all. Yeah, exactly.
So why be mean to someone if you don't even know them? Why be mean to them if they're not going to be mean to you? Why disrespect someone because you can at the time?
Absolutely. And okay, if I were to ask now, you said you were there for a while at that time, and then you got your deal, and you came in 06 with LAX. You started doing that. That went well. Where did that? Why did that run end? Where were you guys going with that? Was there no plans? What happened? Changing positioning there? What was going on?
The main thing is, at the time, myself, Conan, and Homicide we call it lightning in a bottle. You can't beat that. You have a technical guy who's half crazy in Homicide. You have Conan, who's an international star, Mexico, WCW, and one of the great orators on the mic. And we're heels. And you got this big monster like Frankenstein. And I'm not really a monster, but compared to the guys on
You're a big guy. Yeah, you were a monster. Absolutely.
I'm 6'2", 270, and then I was 6'2", like 290, 300. Well, I'm lying, like 305, 310. But when you're wrestling most of the guys, not disrespecting them, but most of the guys that you guys liked and wrestlers that you liked a lot were like 6 foot, 5'10" to 180 to 200 pounds. So yes, I'm a monster if I'm 6'2", 300 pounds, and most of the guys are pushing or 5'10", 180. So I look like a monster. I never forget Mike Tenay coming up to me, hey, man, you look great out there. We're going to start building you 6'6", 300 pounds. I go, no, you're not. So on a good day with my back and knees and hips don't hurt, I'm 6'2". So when y'all start doing meet and greets and live pay-per-views, live house shows, and you build me a 6'6", and some guy who's 6'6" is doing looking like this, hey, how you doing? You just kill the whole war.
Yeah, absolutely. That was smart. That's a smart look that you had. They did that with Abyss, and they did that.
Yeah.
They had him almost 7 foot tall, but yet one of my buddies, who's a referee,
Yeah.
is like 6'2", and he was close to Abyss, and that
Yeah.
right there showed there's no way that this guy's really close to 7 foot. And now at his older age, I saw him when I did the 3 days with WWE last year. Now he's hunched over like Mick Foley, so he's like half the size that he was then, and he looked intimidating as hell. The mask, he was a big dude, but there was no way he was close to 7 foot tall, and that's
I think Chris is an awesome guy, an awesome worker. I
oh
think
yeah,
maybe 6'4", 6'5" at the most.
yeah, probably I
Because,
would say around 6'4", yeah.
because the reason why I say that is because I remember when they brought Billy Gunn in, and Billy Gunn is very deceptively big.
Yes, very big guy.
You see him with other guys, like the New Age Outlaws and stuff like that, and WWE with The Rock. You don't realize how big he is
No,
until you put him in the TNA ring. This guy is every bit of 6'6", 6'5", 6'5", 6'6", I'm sorry, 275 ripped.
oh yeah, for sure.
He put everybody to shame, and the way this on his look alone when he came to TNA.
Oh, and that with Billy too, Billy Gunn. It shows you just how big the guys were in the Attitude Era during that time. All those guys were like your size and bigger. You know what I mean? So that was crazy. Like, so any chance I thought I had, remember I said if I would have started, that probably wouldn't have been a thing at all. But
when I first started wrestling, I was, my trainer was 450 pounds, and he was told me, he goes, unless you get some, get some more size, you're going to be, but just because you're, at 6'2", there's not much potential that I might be a top tag guy. I'm like 6'2", brother. I'm an 800-pound squatter. I mean, I bench 500 pounds like 5 times a week. And I mean, in my wrestling school, I was like third smallest guy in the class. Most of those guys, were 300, 350. We had one guy. If you ever watch the older episodes of World's Strongest Man, we had Phil Martin was on there. He got maybe got second, 6'5", 400 pounds, and had like a 40-inch waist.
wow.
And he would be there. He would be there training with us. So
wow,
a 400-pound man, and you're like 280, 290. You see 100 pounds lighter. You're not. That's how I learned how to do drop kicks, dives, moves off the rope, because what am I going to do to that guy?
Yeah, you had to do that, which is it's crazy to think. And nowadays wrestling, like a lot of the guys that are more my size or just a little bit bigger, and like the fact that because that was another question I was gonna have. What made you start doing like the high flying stuff? You know what I mean? And now
I had no choice. I had no choice.
That is crazy. That is it's kind of like a complete, like, people are probably in their head thinking, how is this even true? But because I mean, you're such a monster now, and the guys are, smaller, but it's like a whole different world. It's like, what happened to big guys just in general? Like, where did they go? They didn't want to be wrestlers anymore. You know what I mean? So
I think honestly, I think other sports have taken away from pro wrestling, because like UFC, like number one, UFC is taken away. Guys who are doing college football, because remember Bill Goldberg, Ron Simmons, guys like that were badass football players. Now you don't see too many football players transitioning like they used to. And I don't know where they're going. I guess they're learning how to make money the other way without using their body. So
yeah, it's true. Okay, so now you have went. You do your stint from 2006 to what? 2009?
14.
All the way through. It went all the way through. You didn't take a break.
2006, 2014 for myself. LAX went from 2006 to 2009.
Okay, yeah, okay. So it was 2009 when that ended. Yes. Then around the time when another regime of Russo and Jim Cornette were kind of, and that right there is automatically two heads colliding. You know what I mean? So at that time, I know the answer because we discussed it, but let other people know, who was it? Was it Vince Russo that really gave you that ball to run with, or was it Jim Cornette?
Well, before people try to bash me or tell Vince or tell Jim I'm talking bad about them, I'm not talking about neither one of them.
Right.
We talked about this before. Vince Russo, if you were not in the main event picture, if you were not battling for a belt, that guy took care of, that's that 70% of the card that's not battling for a belt or in a major feud. He found a way to get you on TV with multi-man matches, with those stupid gimmick matches, with vignettes. So he made sure all those guys got paid. So for people to say Vince Russo don't know what he's doing, bro, he took care of 70% of the roster, 30% took care of themselves.
Right.
Right. So if you're mad at Vince Russo as a wrestler, it's probably you in that 70% mad because you weren't at 30%.
Right. Okay, that's fair.
And as far as Jim Cornette, I don't care what anyone says. I think Jim Cornette's a genius. He's the man. For the fans who did enjoy my short 2-month singles push, it was 1,000% Jim Cornette's creation. This guy knows how to make money. Yes, it's old school. Yes, it's outdated. But guess what? Some formulas don't need to change. Look at Coca-Cola. You don't see them changing the damn formula. The one time they did change the formula, it almost bankrupted the company.
Yep,
so they quickly switched it back. That's why it's Coca-Cola Classic.
Yep.
And that's how I think about Jim Cornette. This is Coca-Cola Classic. He knows the formula is never going to change. This is how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to push this guy, tag guy, heel, face, female, whatever.
Right.
If you use this can't miss formula, this is how it goes.
Right.
And I will never forget. It was literally all over the internet before I even got on the plane to go home after the taping that they were having a big meeting in TNA. Every person who was not 1,000% on board with Vince Russo's thought process and booking style, please raise your hand because you need to leave. Meaning you're getting fired. And Jim Cornette's never been one with a loss of words.
No, not at all.
Never. And he decided this wasn't for him. And I remember when I landed immediately, picked up my kids from school. We went to the store to get them some candy for school or something. I forgot. And Jim called me, said, "Hey, how you doing?" I go, "Doing great. I just saw you yesterday." It's kind of weird when someone literally sees you less than 24 hours to say, "How are you doing?"
Yeah.
So I go, "I'm doing good. I just saw you. What's going on?" He's like, "Well, hasn't hit the newsstands yet, but I quit." What? It was a pleasure working with you. I'm probably gonna kill every idea and kill every push that I created, and you were the number one push I had. So
that sucks.
Watch your back, and hope things work out for you. And I've seen him a couple times at Russell Cade and stuff like that. That just shows you. I mean, if Cornette is done with you, he is done.
Yeah.
I remember, the very next time I saw Jim Cornette, 2012, 3 years later.
Wow, that's okay. So obviously, then your push went from. I remember I was in Orlando at the time, and I was you and I had talked, and it was so cool to be able to see you get what you obviously you had earned it. You had done everything you were supposed to do. You were always there. You were a guy that could have been a real homegrown TNA guy, the way AJ was, and Daniels and Kazarian and America's Most Wanted. You could have been one of those, the main guys that actually really made it to the top, and then ended up in WWE somewhere down the line because of being that homegrown talent. Now, at this point, when Cornette called you, did you think to yourself, "Oh shit, I better try to contact somebody in WWE? Should I just keep going with this, see what they do? Maybe they'll surprise me." What was going through your head at that point?
I had no idea at the time. I mean, I consulted with my wife at the time, and I said, I'm still stuck in the mentality. This is 2009, 2010. So 4 years before, just 4 years before, I'm $100 guy unless I'm going to Japan. So I'm making 90 grand. I'm good.
Yeah.
The worst thing happens is, as long as I don't get fired, and then they just feuded me, rather than build one of us, myself or Matt Morgan, what did they do? They feuded us together and then tagged us together. I mean, they tagged us and then feuded us together because I was Cornette's creation, myself and Matt Morgan. And I blinked when that stuff was, over. I never forget, this was this was January of 2009. I broke my neck. I didn't know it. And I just told him that something's wrong with my shoulder. I couldn't, these three fingers were like numb all the time. Couldn't find out. I pinched my C4 and C5 together, and it was pinched for 5 months.
Oh, wow.
From January 2009 to May of 2009 with a broke neck.
Wow. I can respect that because
I didn't know. I didn't know at the time. I thought it was like, because if people don't know, like I didn't know myself, a C4, C5 that affects your tricep, it affects your pushing muscles, your shoulder pushing muscle, and your chest muscle right here.
Yep, absolutely.
So I thought it was a rotator or something wrong with my shoulder. And I remember going to the gym and I pulled. I'm not gonna say his name. He's not in TNA anymore. Impact. He's in another company. He was telling relations at the time. I go, look at this. I grabbed a 150-pound dumbbell. I took the bench. Boom, 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 boom. Pumped out 5 with my left arm. I got my right arm. I could look. I barely got 3 with a 60-pound.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So these guys were letting me wrestle with one arm.
My God.
For 4 months.
Why do you think they were? I mean, at this point, you had had your push. Then they were bringing you down at that point, right?
No, but this was the problem was this was right in the middle of it.
Okay.
Because because and then we talked about this before with your neck injury. A normal neck surgery like that takes 6 to 9 months to heal.
Yep.
I had the surgery May 1st. I had my first match July 13th.
Yep, I hear you, man. That's crazy. It's a lot of it's here, right? It's a lot here.
Yeah.
That all them? That was all them. Okay.
Well, no, I had to work because I was medically cleared to lift weights after 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
They assumed, I'm ready to wrestle in 6 to 8 weeks. So
totally different thing, yeah.
So that's when I did that little short feud with Samoa Joe. I first came back, and that was the first match I had with a neck fusion. Right here, dude.
Yep. Zipper right there. Yep. I hear you, man. I know that pain, and you don't know when it happens. You're right. You don't know. I didn't know till the morning after I woke up, and I had never felt so much pain in my life, and I had no idea. So me being dumb, I just start doing I'm trying to stand on my head. I think I have a kink and I'm trying to get it out. So I'm trying to stand on my head, but that's not working at all. So I ended up going to the hospital. They told me, they did an x-ray and they didn't find anything. They told me I would be okay. I could wrestle my 3 days that weekend. but I knew in my head I couldn't. There was something, I'm a lot smaller than you, obviously. So I'm gonna like I just understood in my head. I'm like, something's messed up. I think. Well, anyways, fast forward, like I think it was like a month, and they ended up doing the MRI, and they found the broken neck, and told me if I would have wrestled when I was originally cleared, that I would have been paralyzed easily. One bump could have just done it, and that's crazy. So yeah, I hear you in that with that whole and once your neck is messed up, everything goes from there. Like your shoulders are all there, your pec, your butt, everything is all connected one way or another, and it's a bad feeling. So so you came back in July, so basically 3 months later, and then what happened at that point? Like physically, what was going on with you?
Well, I didn't know what was going on, I was, that's that we're trying to. I did Samoa Joe. I had a few with Samoa Joe, and then after that, that's maybe August. August or September, I think, is when Jim said, "Screw this, I'm done." And then it went from going for the heavyweight belts to going for that secondary belt they had that was like the main event mafia belts.
Oh yeah, yeah. You flatlined. It was like you were completely giant uphill, and then you just flatlined completely. And it was weird in my head, just watching, like as a fan watching. I said, when you went from wearing the spandex back to wearing the LAX gear, I was like, oh no, there goes his push. I don't know what it was. It was just in my head.
I figured if you're gonna take my push away, I'm gonna dress like I want to dress.
Right. Okay. Fair.
And so that whole me going to trunks and stuff like that, that was their idea for the different look for the singles. Okay, cool. I understand.
Right.
Nobody wants at the time, times have changed from 2009, 2020. At the time, fans were not going to accept a guy in dicky shorts and a white beater, throwing up gang signs as your heavyweight champion. Now, people could say, "Oh, look at John Cena with the shorts." Okay, John Cena was still catering to normal people. I was catering to, the Latin fans, and that was the image I was portraying. You don't get a lot of babyface pushes, being a Latin, LAX gang member. So that's so they cleaned up the gimmick, push them to the shorts and the spandex shorts, stuff like that. But I mean, once I realized I was not getting a heavyweight shot ever again, we did the pay-per-view in California, and that's what it was myself, Eric Young, and Kevin Nash for like whatever TV title or some. I mean, how you push somebody for the main title and then don't bury them? I mean, why don't you just completely bury me? Why don't you just pin me? No, we're just gonna have them beat. We're gonna have them beat all the ex WWE guys by DQ.
Wow.
And hope the TNA fans swallow that and say that's okay.
Yeah, and they're not gonna, because you were over like hell, man. Seriously, in the Impact Zone, like, even on house shows, because I saw you on house shows, like we discussed that one you did in Canada. You were over as all hell in Montreal, and like this guy has that look, and at that point I didn't realize, like, Cornette, I didn't know who was. Obviously, I just asked you, like, who was pushing you at that time, and it was kind of like,
I was making good money. So I mean, I should have been, looking back on it, myself and Homicide, we both should have been making a lot more money, but we were making good, for us,
yeah,
of course, we're not an XWB guy or X. So you pay me $90,000, base, and you give me some bonuses for LAX t-shirts, some bonuses for house shows. So I'm, that little 90 goes like 110.
Yeah.
But I'm like George Jefferson from the 70s, bro. Moved on up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why, that's one of the reasons when we talked about this before, and we talked about this when I was in Orlando a lot, is I didn't want to rock the boat at the time,
Right.
I remember 3, 4, 5 years ago, before that, I'm making $100 a show. I still have to, unload trucks to help, make ends meet. So who am I to think I'm too big? Oh, the roster's like 50 or 60 guys. Oh, I'm too good. I'm too good to get depushed like everyone else. It's just ridiculous. I do like this. I went from, prime example, I went from a 2-bedroom apartment to a 6-bedroom house in those 3 years. So excuse me if I don't care if I'm not the champ too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
should I have been pushing the champion? Of course. Just like a lot, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. There's at least 3 or 4 other guys that had the same opportunity, but was flogged by different regimes from TNA that should have been main event superstars as well. Right. But I'm not going to complain knowing 3 or 4 years ago I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment, renting it, to owning a 6-bedroom home with the pool in the backyard.
Right.
I'm not going to complain.
And that was you in a business sense, looking and understanding, you know what I mean? Maybe if this would have happened to you when you were, in your early 20s, it would have been a different ball game because it would have been more of a, but then later on you realize, okay, well, I can financially support a family and be in good shape and still be on TV, and people understand that you don't really win or you don't really lose. So, it should be that way. And that was smart of you to look like that. There's a lot of guys now that still won't do it that way. You know what I mean? But you understood it. And, like I said, you have been with Impact Wrestling more than anybody, I think, in the last, 15 out of 18 years you've been there, because you left, you said in 2014, you came back in 2018 or 2017, somewhere in there. And that's when you did the stuff with, you were working again with Conan, and you worked with Eddie Kingston and Proud and Powerful, and you guys did that whole thing. What brought you back then, and how did you enjoy your time there?
It was a little bit different. I was chilling in AAA, dude, having a good time. I just got done with Lucha Underground, and I'm doing AAA, my own schedule, show up only for TV taping, so I can live in the States and just fly to TV and then be home. I'm good. Homicide called me and said, "Hey man, we want to do this angle of new LAX versus old LAX." I go, "Bro, I'm good. I'm good, man." It's because I knew if I went there, that I would lose the luxury of being a AAA. The way I had it set up, to where I could live in Texas and still just fly to the shows.
Right.
Where most of the times you got to live in Mexico City and they just branch you out that way. And Homicide's my brother. I said, "Okay, let's do this." And I go, "I need to talk to the guys myself." And the guy I talked to, we talked about this before, never do a handshake deal. And I'm such a veteran in this business. I did a handshake deal over the phone. "Oh, we can't afford this. We can't afford that. We need you to do this angle." "Okay, well, how about this? I'll do your price for 3 months. We show you what we can do. We're still over. We're still captivated, obvious like we were before. We want to renegotiate and get our money back." Yeah, no problem. Now, every single fan, whether you like OG LAX or you do not like OG LAX, knew in the bottom of your heart, whether you like us or not, just that feud alone, we deserved our real money.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We and no disrespect, the new LAX kids are great kids, they're awesome, but they were beating nobodies. No one, you were being the OG version of what you are now. So those guys were made big. And just on that feud alone, it was a very, very good feud. I mean, everyone busted their butt, everyone did their part, and then some, especially with that all. I took the ring apron stuff and put the boards down.
Oh God, yeah, I remember that. That was crazy.
You couldn't ask for nothing else. So we more than made Impact money at the time. And I never forget the very next day for television, they came up to Homicide, and they always, at the time, it's so much different now. We talked about this. Impact is a dream. I mean, Impact is, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but Impact now is awesome. But back then, Impact pulled Homicide, one of the guys pulled the Homicide to the side and said, hey, we can't give you that raise we promised you. And, oh, yeah, we can't promise you any more dates like we did last time. Oh, and by the way, for the next 2 days, can you put over Phoenix and Pentagon on the way out? I'm hot, bro. I just want to say, I said, screw it, let's leave now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I took the superplex on the plywood on those boards. So I'm jacked up as it is. I don't, then you're gonna tell me we can't afford us having the show, and we did a discount for you after you promised a raise. Okay. We did good business and we left. And I don't know what happened, but Impact. I've been back in Impact since March, and it's like a whole new culture. Those guys were young and hungry, but more so the office, the guys in management, the agents, really care about the product and really care about what they're trying to put out there. And we talked about this before right now, because the TNA/Impact name has been slandered so hard by changing so many networks over the years. Yeah. This is absolutely the best product you could possibly watch in wrestling that nobody watches, because they've been duped. Oh, they were on Spike, then they were on Destination America, then they were on Pop, then they were on I don't know what network. But now honestly.
Yeah, no, it's true. I agree. Yeah.
For all the Impact fans, like you started saying, Anthem took over. Anthem bought their own network, AXS. Maybe you can't get it to a cable provider, maybe you can, but there's other ways to get it. This is the best show you're never gonna see.
For sure. And I can say, you watch a lot of the internet and like the dirt sheet shows that they have, What Culture and Wrestle Talk, Simon Miller does the ups and downs, and he was always doing it for Raw, SmackDown, and AEW and the pay-per-views. And he just about probably 4 or 5 weeks ago started doing Impact up and downs. And that's a good thing, because I was a guy that watched Impact since the beginning. And then I kind of didn't know where to find him anymore. Once I was out of Orlando, I was like, I don't think this is anywhere. And then Dreamer let me know you guys were doing the Access TV and this and that. And I knew he was helping in the office and all that stuff. So I said, okay, well, if he has something to do with it, it's obviously going to be something good, because he's not going to put that out. So I started watching it. So people that don't know at home, you can, if you have a Roku TV, or any kind of smart TV, you can get a thing called Impact Plus, which has everything on it, where you'd be able to see the events. Cable television, if you have it in your area, it's Access TV. They do all their pay-per-views as well, maybe 5-6 a year. I'm not exactly sure, but some of them are on the regular Impact show, which you can watch. But the actual pay-per-views, this coming next Saturday's pay-per-view Bound for Glory, which is the WrestleMania for Impact Wrestling, and you can get that through Fight TV. I know the app, you can order it right through there. And Impact is not a place to sleep on anymore. It's actually, Don Callis has a lot to do with things. Scott D'Amore has a lot. Dreamer has a lot, and all those guys know wrestling and know what people want to see. And I would not sleep on it at all, because you got some of the OGs, I guess we say. We got, Hernandez, as one of them, for instance. You got Eric Young as the heavyweight champion. You got the Motor City Machine Guns. You also now have Gallows and Anderson, who are straight off WWE TV. They were let go, in that horrible day that like 90% of people were just released from their contracts. So yeah, Impact is a place to watch. And even if you have the internet, you can go to YouTube, type in Impact Wrestling. They'll give you your top 5 every week, your top 5 moments of Impact. So while we're on this topic here to kind of round out the evening, let us know, you got anything going on at Bound for Glory on the 24th of October?
Well, I will be in attendance. I will be, I can't say exactly because it has not been dropped on, you'll know this Tuesday exactly what spot or what role I will have on the Bound for Glory show. I'm very excited. It's awesome. Unfortunately, with that pandemic and stuff like that, you have to tape things, 4 to 6 weeks in advance. But it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Like we discussed too, it's really good that now with the one good thing I think that came out of no fans being there, you don't have to worry about spoilers getting leaked and finding out what's going on ahead of time. I know this coming Tuesday, that's on Access TV. It's at 8 p.m. I believe you are in a 4-way match to determine a 5-way match. All right, there's one other guy. And it's going to be a big 5-way match to determine who is going to be in the big battle royal at Bound for Glory. And that's for number 1 contendership, I believe, for the heavyweight title. Am I right?
Yes. Well, this is Carter Shot Gauntlet. You want to fight for the women's belt, X division belt, tag division belt. Kind of like a money bank, kind of like heavyweight belt. The winner gets the last entry in the gauntlets. The one who gets pinned gets the number first one.
Yes. Okay. So, I did kind of like the feast or fire thing that you guys did back probably 10 plus years ago. So he's looking at his girl right now. I saw that, or he's looking at his dog. I don't know which one. He smiled at them both.
Yeah, they're both of them.
So yeah, guys, I think it's going to be a big pay-per-view. They've been anniversary I watched a few months ago live, and that was really well put together. Without the fans being there, you kind of forget that now, because the in-ring stuff is really good. There's a lot of good storylines. You guys got one of the best women's divisions I've seen in wrestling. At this point, you got a lot of talent there. It's going to be a big night. It's October 24th. It's Bound for Glory. You can get it on pay-per-view, Fight TV, through any kind of smart TV outlet that you got. I'm going to ask you one last question before we head out for the night, Sean, and hopefully this thing recorded. Oh my! We're going to say third time's a charm. There's no fourth at this point. So I'm going to ask you. Obviously, we have WWE still there as usual forever. Then you have AEW that's there, and Impact. There's going to be your 3 big United States companies. What made you decide that Impact is where you're going to go? Did you talk to anybody at AEW? Did you talk to anybody in WWE? Or did you just know that what they offered you at Impact was what you wanted, and you went that route? Give us a little bit on that.
I've had little to no contact with WWE for years. AEW, I've been wrestling over 20 years. With social media and this, if you want certain guys to the show, you know how to contact somebody. I'm not going to go out there, please tag AEW and tell them to give me a chance. Please tag WWE. Tell Triple H to give me a chance. After 20 years, if you don't like how my work, or if you don't think my work fits into your product, I understand. I'm good. I love Impact. Impact's they don't want to get my first break. And plus the flexibility with the schedule, with the taping schedule, and they're always working, allowing you to work with different people to make money. So if I want to go, say in between tapings, I want to do a tour in India with Great Khali for 2 weeks, I can go do that and everything's fine. If I want to go to Mexico and do a month there, if I want to go to England, if I want to go to Germany, for a month, 2 months, I'm good as long as I make make the TV tapings, everything is great. I mean, the schedule and Impact is so relaxed. That's why I think so many guys are gravitating to that at this day and age right now.
Absolutely. I mean, tons of the guys decided Impact was the place to go. Yeah. And, obviously seeing Eric Young come back, that was awesome. Yeah. He's being able to play that crazy character that he does so well. That's a dude that can play any character under the moon and make it good. I remember his comedy thing he used to do. And then, WWE dropped the ball horrible with him. They missed that ship, and seeing him back there, and it looks like he's got his passion back, and seeing you there, the fact that I was watching, I was like, oh, good, Hernandez is there. That's sweet. Good. I'm glad he's back on TV. You don't look any different than you looked 20 years ago, even though you are 10 years older than me, as we talked about.
Wait. I haven't decided how the mustache is going to go for the pay-per-view yet, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's pretty sweet. Yeah. I don't know how it would go with my ginger face, but maybe I'll try it sometime. But yeah, man, really happy to see you're doing well. I'm glad to see that, Impact is doing well. Yeah. And I think it's only uphill from here from Impact, because we just got to get more eyes on the product. Once there's more eyes on the product, then I think it's going to take off even more. The main thing is support pro wrestling, whichever way you can. You got sports entertainment with WWE. Impact, you got as more of a sports related type deal, and you got in between with Impact that has a lot of entertainment stuff, and it's also got a lot of the real fight feel to it, I believe. So yeah, guys, October 24th, it's just next Saturday on pay-per-view, Fight TV. Order it. You will not blame us for sending you somewhere you shouldn't be. You're gonna really enjoy the time. You're gonna enjoy the show, and make sure to try to catch Impact. Go, even if you want to go on YouTube and type in Impact and see what they've been doing for the last few months. You're not disappointed. I want to finalize this. I want to also send a shout out to Top Rope Wrestling Talk, which is another podcast that helped us through this with the volume part of things, because myself, nor Hernandez are very tech savvy when it comes to knowing exact. His wife helped us the first day, got us actually how to do it, but it's just looking at our two cute faces the whole time, and there's no volume. So what is it worth? But we've definitely appreciated having you on, Hernandez. As soon as this pandemic's over, you're going to be coming up to work for us up in New York. Definitely have you. I just had one of the fans up here send me a video where you sold him his pair of your wrestling trunks and you signed it for him. So yeah, that was entertaining. So obviously, yeah, I was thoroughly entertained. And I asked him what he did with them, and because I know he does a collection. I said, what do you do with them? Are you sniffing them, or what are you doing? And so we're gonna have you up here. Things are gonna go good. Again, everybody just pay attention to Impact, pay attention to Hernandez, and make sure that you check out Bound for Glory 1 week from Saturday. And Sean, it's been awesome talking to you again. Hopefully this will be the last time for a little while anyways. And thanks for joining us here on the podcast, Wrestling with ADHD. Make sure to share this, subscribe, and like as well. Get some eyes onto this as well, so you can and help get some more eyes onto Impact Wrestling as well. All right, until next time, guys, make sure just do what he did, do what I do what guys that have heart and passion for it, and that is follow your dreams.
Bro.